Greetings, town meeting members and residents of Plymouth. Thank you, Moderator Trifletti and Select Board members. My name is Birgitta Kuehn, Vice Chairwoman to the Planning Board, presenting Article 29. I am pleased to introduce Malcolm MacGregor, Chairman of the Planning Board.
Thank you and welcome. I will take a moment now to provide a brief introduction to the Planning Board's rationale for proposing a change to the zoning bylaw, accessory dwelling units, ADUs. Adding ADUs to the town's list of tools will provide us with the opportunity to, one, enhance and improve the age distribution of Plymouth residents. Permitting ADUs allows for younger and older members of our society to rent living accommodations currently unavailable to them. Secondly, it will help Plymouth achieving its stated goal of preserving open space by creating more living space in currently developed locations. Lastly, we'll begin the long-term goal of increasing Plymouth's sustainability by increasing this open space and by maintaining vegetative tree covers. At this point, I will turn the presentation over to Birgitta Kuehn. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be narrating a brief PowerPoint. Please note that the pictures of homes were all taken in Plymouth recently and do not currently include an accessory dwelling unit as they are not yet permitted, but are meant to be representative of the possibilities. And now I'd like to share my screen. Article 29, accessory dwelling units. In a public hearing on August 24th, the Planning Board heard the public, and due to the positive response from Plymouth residents at the hearing, the board voted unanimously in favor. Article 29 was presented to Advisory and Finance and presented to the Select Board on September 2nd and then on September 9th. And both presentations received unanimous approval. Article 29 is an accessory dwelling unit article. It amends the zoning bylaw section 201.3 definitions to include accessory dwelling units. In 2019, town meeting was presented an accessory dwelling unit article. First, it was narrowly defeated in a supermajority vote by a very few votes. Secondly, it did not contain a neighbor or town notification mechanism. The Planning Board listened and made changes. Article 29 is by special permit only, not by right. Therefore, it goes to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a permit, to the Board of Health or the DPW for sewerage approval. Filing a special permit with the ZBA requires a butter notification, and therefore the neighbors are notified. So what is an ADU? The definitions in Article 29 are that an ADU is self-contained, owner-occupied, one per lot, not to exceed 500 square feet or 25% of the principal residence. It's located on the same lot as the principal residence, and it remains in single ownership with the principal residence. A short-term rental is not an ADU, and an ADU is not a short-term rental, nor are condos, nor townhomes. That RV parked in your side lot is not an ADU. ADUs are owner-occupied, again, not for short-term rental, only one per lot. They comply with the zoning parking bylaw, and the appearance remains single-family residential, which is key. The intent of the article is for the elderly and the young. ADUs are supportive of residents at a variety of stages in their life cycle. They increase the number of dwelling units available for year-round rental, and they provide homeowners with a means of obtaining rental income to defray housing costs. Why ADUs in Plymouth? The 2020 census return to the town of Plymouth shows that there are 23,345 occupied housing units in Plymouth. Approximately 4,400 are rentals, which includes all types of rentals, condos, apartments, etc. Single-family housing units are big in Plymouth, and greater than 90% are 3 or more bedrooms. And Plymouth residents are well off. According to the census, 74% earn $50,000 to over $150,000, which is the census cutoff. But 26% do not earn enough for a one-bedroom apartment. These data you see in front of you are specific to zip code 02360, which covers most of Plymouth. It's by rentdata.org, and it ascribes the fair market rent that to areas across the United States. What you see for this zip code, again 02360, is the rental prices are very high compared to the national average. This fair market rent area is more expensive than 98% of other fair market rent areas. And what you'll also see is that the studio efficiency in one-bedroom apartments, which would be representative of the ADUs, are rented from $1,100 to $1,300 at the 40th percentile, which means that 60% of those rentals are much higher than this rate. This impacts our young and our elderly. Massachusetts also supports accessory dwelling units. Just this past July, Barnstable passed an ADU zoning bylaw, the 10th Cape town to do so. It supports their workforce housing for their tourist industry, for new teachers, nurses, firefighters, police, those young people just starting out. And they're joined with towns and cities such as Lincoln, Lexington, Kingston, and Bourne, among others. All these communities provide diversity in housing to residents. ADUs are also supported by ARP. ARP put out a monograph recently entitled The ABCs of ADUs, a guide to accessory dwelling units, and how they expand housing options for people of all ages. ARP surveys consistently show that the vast majority of people age 50 or over want to remain in their homes and communities as they age rather than relocate. In fact, an ARP survey entitled Home and Community Preferences Survey, they surveyed people aged 50 plus who would consider creating an ADU and said they do so in order to provide a home for a loved one in need of care, provide housing for relatives or friends, feel safer by having someone living nearby, have a space for guests, increase the value of their home, create a caregiver space, something quite important to the demographics in Plymouth, and earn extra income by renting to a tenant. So what types of ADUs are we talking about? There's a detached ADU. In this picture, we have a Plymouth home that is a 2 garage. You could have an ADU on the left, you could have an ADU on the right, and a garage on the left or right, but you can't have both because you can only have one per lot. There is an interior ADU, and what needs to be added to this is a door to the ADU on the outside, which could be in the back. There's an interior lower level ADU, and Plymouth has many walkout basements that may be suitable as an ADU. An ADU has the least impact of any type of housing in Plymouth. An ADU leverages our existing housing stock to benefit our young and our elderly. 74% of housing in Plymouth is single family. 7% is duplex housing, and this picture of construction was taken within the past week. ADUs protect open space, as Dr. MacGregor said in the introduction, and we could discuss the deforestation of Plymouth to meet the housing demand, but relief begins in small increments, and an ADU is a small increment. There's an addendum to our recent presentations due to town council review. The State Housing Choice Act defines the zoning votes, and they define an ADU as not larger in floor area than 1/2 the floor area of the principal dwelling, or 900 square feet, whichever is smaller. Article 29 being presented to you defines an ADU to not exceed 500 square feet, or 25% of the floor area, whichever is less. Therefore, a supermajority vote is needed at town meeting to pass Article 29. Thank you. And with that, I'll give the screen back to Dr. MacGregor.
Thank you for your attention to this article. I encourage you to vote for Article 29 for the improvements of our town and the specific attention it pays to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you.